Welcome then to Eurosport's coverage of the Paris Tour, this great classic race, the 88th version of the Paris Tour, which first started way back in 1896, that's some 98 years ago, covering this year 251 kilometres in all. That's still some 157 miles of racing for these riders. We're inside the last 60 kilometres now, and one lone rider, Mallet, has a lead of some 9 minutes on this fast-moving bunch with, as you'd expect, the GBMG team ploughing away on the front at the moment to protect the interests of
Sport Live.
Welcome back then to the Paris Tour. The riders now got some 40 kilometres to go, about 25 miles according to our little check here, and still out in the lead then is Emmanuel Mallet. And
Sorensen.
Yep.
Sorensen's actually having a go.
Well, that gap's jumping. I mean, we were just talking while we were off air there, Stephen, that the gap's down at 2:40. They're going to catch that bloke, and you thought suddenly got to start jumping, but he's gone already.
Well, this is kind of like the riders sitting behind the MG riders for the last 30 kilometres. So they be saying now, well, MG now are going to keep riding and bring us up to that ride in the front. So they're kind of there's some good riders taking a back seat. So it's a very, very good move by Sorensen here, because Sorensen now will have cut out a lot of riders, and he could get away, but he has a small gap here, as you can see. But it's
Gan.
Yeah, it's not Moreau, it's Capel, I think, is it? But
they're not giving much leeway, are they?
They're not working together. The group mustn't be too far behind them. But it's a very, very good move by Sorensen. As you can see here, the roads are not very wide either. So it means that any of the good riders that are behind, it's actually Moreau, it is actually. Any of the good riders behind, if they want to get out and get across the route, then they get out, the group in front could have a small gap. So it was a very, very good move by Sorensen a few minutes ago. But you can see here, Musio is back again, and Bartoloni is there again. So there was a lot of good riders in the front anyway, waiting for a move like this.
And again, Motorol jumping around too, because they need some success. And
Bauer, is it? No?
Yep, it looks like Bauer. Yes, Bauer was looking good form this morning, but of course he should turn along Armstrong, who we're having to look for without his rainbow jersey now. Armstrong could do with winning this one. He's got the ability to go with some 3 kilometres out from the front, but at the moment it's Bauer that's trying to stretch this little lot. So a lot of jumping around now. They're getting close to that lone breakaway rider, Emmanuel Mallet, who at one time had a lead of over 10 minutes, and here he is now. He's down to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. They're chopping this away left, right and centre, so this thing is exploding, and GBMG, who've been doing all the work on the front now, have suddenly found swarming around like a load of locusts, with a lot of other riders who are just coming in there quick. Carlo Bowman's marking this one out, not wanting to go through then for GBMG. Bauer just in front, Johan Brunel just leading through, and for the ZG Mobile team, it looks like Fontanelli still at the front of this little group, but of course he'll be looking after the interests of Henri Audant, who rides for ZGM Mobile. Where's number 51? I've seen him pretty close to the front, but they've drifted off, and the rest of the field now, it's panic stations. Oh dear me! It
is like the fact that Sorensen attacked. Nobody would have been waiting for anybody to attack it. And you see the roads here once again are very, very narrow. So any of the good riders that are sitting back in the bunch, relaxing a little bit, and they'll found themselves having difficulty getting through. You see Johan Brunel and number 115 is Martinelli. He's going well also, but he'd be blocking for his team sprinter.
Yeah, Abdul Jaffarov is the man. Yeah. And so, that's our lonely leader, who must know by now that probably his day of glory is over and done with. They're coming up very quickly indeed. This great bunch of screaming riders. We started out this morning with 193 contestants in this race, all the top teams here, because the World Cup now being much more than it used to be in terms of importance to the sponsors, and many riders here looking to go out with a big race. One man, if he wins this one, by the way, is going to have to cancel his decision to retire. Speaking this morning, having a lovely helicopter shot, so do forgive me if I rabbit on about one particular rider, Dag Otto Lauritsen, who is retiring at the end of this race. He said, that's it, I've had enough. And he said, would I please thank his family for supporting him over the years, and his thanks then going out to Ellen, his wife, Lena, his daughter, and Stena, his young son. But if he wins, he said he might go on for another year. We don't think that's going to happen for Dag Otto Lauritsen. So I also asked him then, as we're watching this lovely ride on the front, they're now taking the vehicles through because they're going to get caught very quickly. Just to put you in the picture, you people watching coverage on Eurosport of the Paris Tour and this professional race, just what these riders go through. Dag has been riding for 10 years years now. He told me that he'd ride 110 to 120 races each year, so that's going to be over 1,000 races, something like 1,200 races, travelling something like riding some 30 to 35,000 kilometres a year. I got my sums wrong when I was working out what the pros did a few weeks ago, but he said 35,000 miles a year, kilomiles a year, and you imagine 120 races, over 1,200 races. Well, you've done the same thing, but talking to this chap who, he's won 26 races in his time, but he's been in there all the time, and a tremendous character too.
Well, you can imagine, like, it's 110 races a year, it's 110 days, and most of those races you're taking, apart from Tour de France or stage race, you must be on the scene the day before, so you're 365 days a year, so you're already practically 1/3 of the year racing alone. So you take away the number of days you leave the day before to race and everything else, and you're away for means you're away for almost 9 months of a 12-month year over for a 10-year period. So it puts an awful strain on yourself. And Dag has never been a super leader, never been a super. He's always been a super domestique. Don't get me wrong, but he's never had the success of a leader. But Dag has also had been. I wouldn't say he had the most class of his himself, but he had, for the class he had an incredible long career. He served an awful lot of riders, even including myself in 1 or 2 races, and he was one of the best team riders around, and capable also of winning races. Like he's won flat races, he's won a stage into Tour de France, up to what do you call it, up to not Villa de Lans, up to anyway, it'll come back in a few minutes. He won a very, very good mountain stage in the Tour de France. He's won stages in most of the big stage races, so there's very few really, really good teammates that can actually win big races. So Dag has been an excellent teammate. He's been an excellent performer in his day, so nothing can be said to him for not going on.
And now our lone leader then has been out there. Mallet has been swept up by the big field now, so the lad from the Duffield Peugeot team is now back in the main group there, and our congratulations go out to Dag Lawrence as Brian Holm takes over now for Telecom. He seems to be doing it all on his own at the moment, when in fact it could be set up for Ludwig to win a sprint. Ludwig in there, and a winner of a stage in the Kellogg's Pro Tour this year. And talking about the big events of Dag Lawrence, and one I remember him breaking away on the stage into Coventry on the Kellogg's Pro Tour the year before last, and won that one in fine style.
Actually, the stage he won, the Tour, was up to Luzarden in the Tour de France about 3 years ago. A fantastic stage. Like, and I remember Dag when he won, and he couldn't even believe it himself, because it's one of the classic stages in the Tour de France, and nobody would ever have thought that a rider like Dag, who was a very, very good team rider, would have thought he would have been capable of winning a stage in the mountains, and Dag would have won it. So it's good to show you that he wasn't just an ordinary team rider. He was a team rider capable of taking on responsibility and capable of winning good races, in which he won a lot of in his career.
Well, I also asked him had he finished painting the house, because he went down the Tour de France covered in paint. He didn't think he was going to ride the Tour. He said no, his father had been carrying on with it, and he's still got to finish the job when he gets back. Dag then, who was an amateur, rode in the 84 Olympic Games, turned pro. His first ever pro race was the World Championship in 1984 in Spain, when he finished 30th. He said, and I was second from last, and I was proud to finish. So he's still got that boyish grin about him, though he's sort of going 40 years of age now, and congratulations go out to him. Particularly finishing the Tour this year with the TVM team, and only himself, Jesper Skibby and Bo Hamburger finished, 3 of them from the TVM team. And we're looking now there, Duca Lassalle and Porini. Duca Lassalle this morning, well, last year we had the Paris Tour, he was actually travelling in my car. We jammed him on the backseat of a Renault Clio. There were 3 of them, including this fella. He's still in there now. He's got a tremendous attitude. Charlie Martin, well, he said he retired after the Grand Prix National. There he was this morning having another go.
Well, he's riding this, and he's going to ride the Tour of Lombardy next week, and then he's his last race on the road. So he said he's going to ride through to the 6 days, and then right through to January on the indoor of the track, and then he's calling it a day then. So in the race today, there's kind of in one way it's a big occasion, but in the other way it's a sad occasion, because we have the likes of Charlie Motte riding his last major race in France. We have Dag Lawrence, and as we said a few minutes ago, Duca Lassalle, he'll be riding again next year, but only until Paris-Roubaix. So there's kind of Sean Kelly is missing now as well. So this big race today is the end of a French season. It's almost the end of an international cycling season here in the continent, and it's also the end of the road for an awful lot of top riders who have animated the races over the last 10-15 years.
And talking to Sean Kelly, he won this race in 1984. He finished third in 1988. The only other couple of successes by what I call English-speaking riders was Tom Simpson, who finished second in 1962, and Barry Hoban, who finished second in 1967 behind the great Rick van Looy, the Belgian sprinter superb. Belgians have won this race. This just shows you how it's a sprinter speciality. 36 times out of the 88 years, the Belgians have won this race. France, although they've won it 27 times, haven't won it since 1956, when Albert Beauvais was the last man to win. Albert this morning was wandering around the start area. He's supposed to be retiring at the end of this year, but another man who seems to think he might have something to do with the racing next year. But Albert, we wish him the best of luck in his retirement, and he was there at the start this morning, and we got to go back to 1956 for the last time a Frenchman won this race, and that was Albert Beauvais.
You see, at the moment now, nobody is really taking on the responsibility to make tempo on the front. The GB rider, the Carlos Bowman's there, is riding in the front, but he's riding, let's keep up a small tempo. We saw Cipollini in there a minute ago as well, so a lot of the good riders now, the sprinters now, have moved to the front, and I reckon there'll be about, I say, around 30 kilometres to go now, so there will be this final hill that'll be coming up soon, so it'll be, I say, not a rush to the front, but the top riders will be getting to the front, knowing that in previous years that on this last hill it has split, and once it splits, there's no way of coming back to before the finish, because it's almost downhill then to the finish.
Cameron picking out with graphics 31 Cipollini, 121, that's Oliver Ludwig. Some of the sprinters get themselves nicely positioned there. Tamil 141 just sat in that bunch as well at the moment. A lot of the star men get themselves up near the front of this group. A lot of pink and blue shirts as well. That's the Lampre team looking after the interest of Maurizio Fondre, second last year. We will not forget though that they've also got in there Jans Ferrada, who's a fearsome sprinter, so Lampre can throw down many cards towards the back end of this race. The 193 starters slimmed down a bit now, looking at the shot from a helicopter, one or two being a bit short on the numbers. Now Histor on the front here, riding under various names, Histor Sigma, Nobelmel's Laser and what have you. They're going to finish at the end of this year. They're setting it up not perhaps for Charlie Motti, but the man who's wearing the Belgian national colours, Wilfried Nelissen, had that horrific crash on day 2 in the Tour de France, but he looked quite good at the start this morning, so we've got them both back in the race. And I can't remember seeing those two racing together. We've got both Jalabert and Nelissen back today.
It's the first time in racing since the crash in the Tour de France, and I spoke to him last night and he was saying, I was asking him, was he not a bit nervous for the finish tomorrow? He says, oh no, he says, I just don't want to see any uniformed photographers. Because if you remember this terrible crash rate they had in the Tour de France this year in Armentières, it was actually because of a policeman who turned around to take a photograph of the sprint and didn't see Jalabert or Nielsen coming so close and so quickly, and Nielsen and Jalabert actually hit him and came down and had very, very serious injuries after that. So he was saying he was no problem with the riders, but he was just going to be careful not to have any photographers in uniforms.
Well, I spoke to one of the English photographers. He said, I wish I could buy the negative off that policeman. It's going to be one of the best crash pictures I've ever seen.
Genuine close-up.
Yeah.
Looking down now, you can see the riders here. You see the numbers and the jerseys on the jerseys of the riders. The number 1, you see the speed they're going here as well, but it's very difficult to actually see now. But what I was getting on about was that some of the riders, you can see number 1 on the riders. So you see Abdi Japarov there,
all
going out of all the ones. All the good riders had the one. The Jalabert now is number 1 as well. It's actually number 1, but Jalabert will be number 201. Most of the top riders, top sprinters, the organisation before the race, they single them out as the first rider on the team. So, for example, if your team starts from the 20s, your team leader will be 21. If your team starts in the hundreds, your 110, your team leader will be the 101 or 111 or 201, as in the case of Jalabert. It's to distinguish for the likes of ourselves commentating here on television that just pick them out straight away. The number 1 must be the leader. So the leader on this race today is Jalabert. If it's in Tour de France, for example, the leader would not be Jalabert, it would be the likes of Eric Brooking, so he would have number 1. So the organisers in each race have tried to pick out, to have the best rider on the team capable of winning that race. They try to have them number 1.
I was speaking to mate Eric Broking, chatting him this morning before the start, and he's doing the same thing, the 2 races next week in the Lombardy as well. And I said, "You got to have a good holiday then, Eric?" He said, "Well, not much." He said, "I've got to go winter training." I mean, the whole sport's changed. I mean, one time they'd all go off sort of skiing for a month and have a rest, and then start sort of soft tapping in about January. I mean, how much time did you used to have off?
In the early days, I had 2 months completely off the bike, never touched the bike. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, then I never left the bike at all for the winter. Maybe 10 days maybe, but I used to go on holidays and bring the bike with me. And I might only use the bike once or twice during my week or 10 days holidays, but still I had to have the bike with me all the time. And immediately when I went on holidays, I was starting to do my press-ups and push-ups and dips and running and jogging and everything else. So the season gets very, very, very stressing then, because you've no real what you could call an actual break. And that's a problem for the riders today.
Well, so Eric Broking echoing that by saying just a few days break and onto his winter training as such. So many of these riders then looking for perhaps just a little less travelling. That's the main thing, I suppose, in the winter, that you're not going to be hammering around the countryside, flying from here, there and everywhere, but and eating in different restaurants and different food, and all this sort of packing and unpacking of bags that goes on as far as the riders are concerned, and living this very nomadic life.
Vanzella.
Yeah.
Have Vanzella here on the screen, another Tour de France stage winner, and the yellow jersey. Had the yellow jersey in the Tour this year.
Just show the class of this field, isn't it? I mean,
it is. It's a long time since I've seen a field as classy as this in the end of season. Normally, the end of season, you have kind of the riders that normally make the publicity for the team right through the year. Normally, they kind of say, "Well, I'm finishing off here, I'm finishing off there." Normally, when it gets to the Tour de Lombardy or the Tour Paris Tour, the big riders are already kind of up to dry, and the lesser riders come in. Look at the Motorola this year. The Motorola, like Phil Anderson, of course, exceptionally. Phil wanted to ride the Paris Tour this year for end of season goodbyes, because it's actually finishing his career as well. And Motorola decided they were putting in some young lads, so for experience and everything else. So most teams normally do this. They change the people coming through the end of the season, and they put in the younger lads to give them a shot at it. But this year, exceptionally, there's an awful lot of good riders still hanging around, and not only hanging around, but looking and fighting and wanting to get points and to win races. So it makes this Paris Tour a very, very exciting race. I'm really sure there's going to be a very, very fast average speed today again, because they are only 25 kilometres now from the finish. Now their estimated time of arrival are in around 5 o'clock, 5:15. So I reckon they're going to be ahead of schedule once again today. So it's going to be a very, very fast Paris Tour.
So about some 15 miles left for these riders to get in there for the finish at around about 5 o'clock. Yes, that's going to be just on, if they get just around about 5 o'clock, there's going to be 40 kilometres back, 25 miles an hour for 157 miles. Just imagine that they will have covered. And we're talking about some of these young riders coming through. One we'll have to watch out for in the sprint, by the way, is the young German rider from the Telecom team, Eric Zabel, who took 4 victories in the Tour de l'Avenir. Now, whilst everybody may be watching the performances of Ludwig, that man might pop up and frighten a few people. Now there is Nelson in the black jersey, you see him with the blue crash hat for the team, the Histor team.
You see the rider here in front of us, that's Marc Sergent. Marc Sergent, possibly next to Ducla La Salle, will be one of the oldest men in the races, but he's still there. There's a fantastic job for his team leaders every time. You see him here with Nielsen on his wheel. He's bringing him through, making a path for him right through, so that he hasn't got to be pushing riders out of his way, or hasn't got to be out in the wind. He's an extremely good rider, and a credit to cycling, because he's there year in, year out, race in, race out, and he's always there. I will see Charlie Mutti at Ducla La Salle, 2 riders on the last legs. Unfortunately for cycling will be missing those type of riders. Duclos having 1 more year, actually going on to do Paris-Roubaix again next year, as he finished second, third, and again this year. His hopes of doing better again next year. But Charlie Mutti, that'll be his last race. I've just heard a little few words on the Ducla La Salle shouting to the cameraman. He was shouting at l'année prochaine, meaning next year. See you next year. So I thought it's his last race of the year.
Flicking along there and picking up the GAN colours of Ducla La Salle. Now, GAN, by the way, that they bought up a company in England called General Portfolio, and they changed the name now to GAN as well. So the British viewers, you'll probably see that name popping up all over the place, and not just on racing jerseys either. fond of useless information, aren't they, really? Things like that.
Of course, you have to be. It is I think every commentating team must have a man who is, or a person capable of going more of a historian more than a commentator. But when you can do it too, it's great. So it's great. Nice having you along, Dave.
Thank you, Steve. I'm glad to have you with you as well. One more to go on the Lombardy, and then put our feet up for the... well, it's been a great season so far, and I hope you feel out there watching it have enjoyed the extra dimension being brought to Eurosport's coverage of the cycle race by having Stephen Roche here, because he's got that great fund of knowledge and interest. And look at these two here, Motte, and they're travelling at nearly 30 miles an hour. You'd think they're having a bit of fun, but they've been in the saddle since this morning. What was it, 10:50 when we started? Of course, British time and French time is the same now. So all you people look at your watch and think these chaps have been going 25 miles an hour since just for 11 o'clock this morning. It's about 6 hours, and here they are still chatting away like they're out for a Sunday club run.
Well, for some of them it is like a club run. I'm sure Charlie Motte and the likes of Douglas well, more Charlie Motte, he's kind of more as apprehending the end of the race today, because when he finishes across the finishing line today, it'll be his last time racing on French roads. It's not just a career which is finishing for him. It's like the same as myself last year. It's part of one big story in your life, finishing. So I'm sure Charlie Motte is today behind those glasses he's wearing, and underneath that bell crash helmet he has on him, I'm sure he's thinking to himself, well, I just hope today doesn't come to an end too quickly. I want it to last as long as possible, because there's no tomorrow in cycling for me now. Cycling is finished for me now. My career, everything is behind me. So it's in one way, I'm sure it's a sad time for Charlie in his own mind, because he knows that, well, this is the end of the road as regards cycling.
There, Perini just behind him, 67, he with the bold pate, a lot younger than he actually looks there, and Charlie's moving up towards the front. I think he might be tempting to have a little go off the front, and that's unfortunate at the moment, because our camera's gone right up into the sky with the helicopter, and we're going to take a short break on Eurosport, so we'll update him. He does go flying off the front, but we're going to take a short break. Do stay with us, just see what happens. Come back, please, in a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
Point your antennas to Eutelsat for an exciting selection of unscrambled TV channels via satellite at 13 degrees east. If you want to know more, call online Eutelsat now.
Like most supercars, this awesome machine runs on Bridgestone tires. But even at top speed, this car can't test Bridgestone tires to their limit. Bridgestone, the science of performance.
We at Emirates have already specified and ordered a new generation of airliners for use in the next century. But even today, every seat of our Airbus aircraft has a personal video system. And you enjoy levels of comfort amongst the highest in the sky. Today, we fly the world. Tomorrow, who knows? Emirates, Airline of the Year.
Eurosport Live.
The action exploding then with some 20 kilometres to go on the Paris Tour, this climb of the Côte de Crachot. And the riders then under pressure as Motorola have moved to the front. Off the back has gone Perini. Motorola really putting the hammer down them. And look at the state they're in now. They've covered 229 kilometres of racing. Just some 20-odd kilometres to go toward the finish. And this is the last but one of the climbs that didn't split the field, but it certainly made a few legs hurt. And one, two of the riders at the back shelled out, and they'll be now grasping at breath and trying to get back on again as the Motorola team played an ace car. but they didn't manage to split that time, did they?
It did. They split it, but Armstrong was actually lying in second place. He still is riding in second place, but I would have thought that he would have tried to counter it, but he didn't. He just stayed on the wheel. I would see Andre Taffy, who's had a very good season this year riding for the Mapic class team. So see him here coming to the front, but we're coming now. They shouldn't be too far away now from the final Grand Prix of the Mountains Prix now.
There's one more to go then, the Côte d'Azur de l'Etour. That's up to 245 kilometres we covered. We're there inside the last 20 kilometres, and an attack coming on the left-hand side then. This is what's going to happen all the way through towards the finish of this race. Something round about, 20 minutes, I suppose, of racing ahead of us. And the Paris Tour, really now, the showdown about to happen. And they've got to really keep an eye on this one, because 3 men have prized away off the front of that group. It's going to cause a lot of thinking to be done by the team captains to stop these chaps hammering off the front, getting away from the sprinters. Go on, Ali. He doesn't need to say, does he?
No, it doesn't. No, it's this. Unfortunately, it's only a very small team, the Catavana team, but are unfortunately riding the last race because the sponsors announced they're not going to continue next year. But the lad here, the tag tees, gotten away with 3 or 4 riders, but unfortunately each of those riders have a sprinter behind him. See a Motorola rider, he has Armstrong, we see, and Nielsen's there as well. So with Nielsen as being in there, nobody else will ride, because they know that behind Musio will ride, and the Fondriest will ride as well. So normally that break will not go very far now.
Well, we saw one of the Lotto team in there. It looked like Chamil lying up near the front of this race too. Their team member Van den Broek won this race in 1982 when he had a 45-second advance in front of the field, and Laurent Fignon became involved in an accident when his pedal broke and he had to abandon. Laurent Fignon, our co-commentator today with Patrick, and so we've got the benefit of Fignon, who was looking good in that race in 82 when he cracked his crank, and that was it. And now we've got the field back together again, and looking down there, well, we've got back to the official car, Jean-Marie Leblanc, down in the right-hand side of your picture, the right-hand corner. The man from the Société de Tour de France, who's done so much, I think, to improve the quality of these racing. So there's an ex-rider, ex-journalist. The whole way these things are presented seems to have got much better, as we have the Lamprey team on the front.
It has, but also one of them, look at the guy who broke a saddle.
Oh no! Don't sit down with a squeaky voice. Oh dear!
That could be painful. That could be very, very painful.
There's a ballad.
Yeah, there's a ballad. It would have been a very important factor for Jalabert if it came down to a final sprint. Hopefully he'll have his bike changed and get back on very quickly.
Just imagine this, he's been riding his bike now since, just before 11 o'clock this morning. His legs must be aching something terrible. He's trying to rest, and he's going to have a leap off and get a spare bike. He's actually taken the saddle with him between his teeth. I'd have chucked it over the edge, wouldn't you?
I would have, bike and all. I will see somebody going away, a telecom rider going away.
That's amazing, because Telecom have got Zabella's a good sprint. They've also got Ludwig in there, so perhaps they're just trying to take the edge off some of the other people. He has been pushed back in the race again then, Diaz Zabella. What a shame. At least he's got himself something to sit on now.
Well, while the Telecom rider will have a ride, team will have a ride on the front, it means that the riders themselves haven't got to ride on the front to chase down a rider. So it means that Ludwig, who is their sprinter, is having a nice handy ride behind, while some of the other teams are chasing. Because often has happened in the past is that with Ludwig, his team ride so hard for him in the final, and then when it comes down for the final 500 metres, when he needs somebody to lead him out, he's nobody there. So they could be trying to change tactics today by sending men away, trying to draw out the other teams and making the other teams ride in the front.
Well, Christian Hendricks is one of his typical tactics. He's another rider that either goes with an early break or towards the back end is inclined to go off on a long lone attempt to get away from the field, but at the moment nobody's going to give him much leeway. I think you can see it's still going pretty quickly. And let's see, Kolstrup begin to move toward the front. Those are black coloured jerseys. The pink and blue colours, those are Lamprey. The pink one with the mainly white, those are the Telecom jerseys. And Lamprey begins to take up the chase yet again. The palish blue jersey, that was Mape class. I'll pick out some of the jersey colours for you so you can follow your favourites in the Paris Tour. Running in now, 12 seconds lead. Well, it's a nice little gap he's got at the moment, but on the run in, it's fairly well. It's not an out of sight, out of mind course at all, is it?
No, it's not. And there's the final uphill finish, some beautiful cars that we see on the left hand side of your screen. I wouldn't mind having one of those.
I'll
myself.
have the one that you can have on the right.
Well, we won't fight over that. But as they come into the final, there's also one more little ramp now they come into as well. So it's not very. The race is not over yet. There will still be. I'm waiting for a big attack from front. Francis Moreau, who is one of my favourites today, because he wants to. And he had some very bad luck this year in Tour de France. He had illness and everything else. Of course, he lost his father, unfortunately. And since then, he has kind of woke him up a lot. He's realised that cycling is more than just kind of riding a bike. You got to have the will and the want to win. So it's made him more hungry now. He's realised that he's got his priorities right, as we are 14 kilometres now to the finish. But Francis has realised now that to win races, you've got to ride hard, you've got to suffer and everything else. So he has been riding exceptionally well in the last 2 weeks. And every race he's ridden, he's been up there in the front, finishing second in the Grand Prix of the Nations behind Tony Rominger. So he's riding exceptionally well at the moment, and he has promised himself and his team that he will be there today in the final. So he'll not be there in the sprint, because he's not as good as a sprinter as the likes of Nielsen or Jalabert or Musio. So I reckon that the top of the final hill is about 7 or 8 kilometres from the finish. So I think we should see him going, if he has anything left in his legs, because that's 250 kilometres. Even if you want to go, he's still in his legs.
They're going straight through, round and long with the island. They're going across the island, round across the spectators, all over the place.
Here they are now on the final hill. As Fondrias now, it's actually Fondrias on the front.
Well, Fondrias certainly for the Lampert team, this is his sort of hill that he would like to get away on.
He's done it before, actually. He's taken off on this hill before and won Paris Tour, so he knows it's there. So, but has he got the conditions today to do it?
It looks like they've nailed him back now. They're not going to give him much leeway at all, and the gap has been closed down, so he could be in for that final bit. Actually, for you British viewers, if you're interested in seeing Francis Moreau in action, he will be taking part, according to the latest press information, in the racing next Saturday. Whilst we're going to be covering the Tour of Lombardy at Manchester, there'll be a special track meeting in the afternoon at the new track, because the official opening will take place on Saturday next week, and there Moreau is billed to ride against Chris Boardman. Actually, Boardman's picked up some sort of virus. That's why he's struggling in the Grand Prix de National. So we hope Chris gets well, and if you listen to the commentary, Chris, you've given us some great things to talk about this year. We hope you can recover in time to ride at the Manchester track, which is just down the road from where Chris lives, on the Wirral at Hoylake. So I hope he makes it there, and if you want to go along and see Moreau in action, then that's at Manchester. The British Cycling Federation will have all the information about tickets and what have you. So fill the stadium, I think about 3,000 seats. So I'd like to make sure that lots of people go to see the first meeting at what's going to be the National Sports Centre for Cycling, Indoor Cycling. BSF moving the headquarters there as well, and we hope we can get some good trackmen out of that track. And there'll be an unveiling too of the Reg Harris statue, and I think there's a dinner being held the night before as well, special charity dinner to get some more funds for Reg Harris's statue. They've got all around the central reservation again, so that's a little bit plug up for the Manchester track meeting. And I know perhaps on commentary we shouldn't do these things, but I think it's a significant event for Great Britain to have an indoor track for the first time, and I hope it gets well supported and we can bring champions up. So there they are. Moreau will be there against Chris Boardman, all being well, plus various invited trackmen from various other nations as well. Certainly getting strung out this race now, and with something no more than about another 10 minutes of racing ahead. The chips are down at the moment, and still it's in anybody's race.
Our cameraman here, Fabrice Roche, is actually a driver and a participant in Paris-Dakar next year. So he's actually been sponsored by a company which I work for called Procene, and he's ridden Paris-Dakar a few times, and next year he just signed a deal now to ride again next year on a motorbike.
Well,
here he is riding as a cameraman.
The Paris-Dakar thing is one of these great raids, they call it, all across the Seine. And again,
Steve Bauer.
Yes, he's
Bauer,
spirited, isn't he, Steve?
He is, yeah. Well, here we are. We're coming up over the top of the hill now, so it can't be very much more difficult terrain to go over. So as you can see, the bunch is very well strung out here. We've seen a lot of top riders here in the front, but unfortunately nobody has really been able to break the group up yet.
Steve Bauer trying to break the field up. The long stringer rider, this man, not a good sprinter, but certainly a chap who can go well on the final couple of kilometres. And I can see also Brian Homer's got up to him as well. The GBMG team getting on the front, but perhaps just to control it for Mazzeo, who wears the Leaders World Cup jersey. So still some way to go toward the finish, and the field just beginning to break up. Those three men on the front. Amazing though, GBMG seem to be driving this one along for some reason, perhaps again to draw the string on other people. They don't look upon Bauer perhaps or Brian Home as a threat, and just holding themselves about 50 metres off the front of what is still a substantial pack of probably about 140 or so riders. A big field yet in this race.
So we see Wilfred Peters is riding on the front, but he's only riding half-heartedly. He's controlling the group more than actually riding with it. You see, it's actually Chandry. It's not actually Peters. It's actually Chandry with the glass. I thought it was Wilfred Peters, but Chandry is actually easing up because he knows that if he goes to a sprint, that Brian Hall mainly goes sprinter and Bauer mainly goes sprinter, he's not guaranteed to win. So where with Musio, if the group comes back and Musio is there, but then Musio has a better chance of winning. So after all, nobody's riding for third place or second place in this group. Everybody's riding for the first place. So when you have a teammate capable of winning, you sacrifice yourself for the teammate.
This then, the Paris Tour Classic 88th version of the race, which dates back to 1896, as Barno takes out to put his name on the list of those marvellous men that run it since Provost won it way back 98 years ago now. So we're getting on towards the 100th anniversary in a couple of years' time, and now they're jumping around all over the place. These men are not looked upon as the great out-and-out sprinter. They've just joined the programme. Let's run down on some of those sprinters in the main field. Johan Mazzeo, leader on the World Cup, has number 1. Cipollini, 31. Mercatoniuno. Henri Redon set the fastest time in this race, is there wearing number 61 as far as ZG Mobley is concerned. There they go again. These are the problems. So the sprinters, they'll be up near the front. At this sort of rate of knots, they come down with a thump, and very quickly again, and he is in trouble, buried himself right in the hedge.
It's like a Banesto rider, is it?
Yeah, but yes, it's interesting again because we had Banestos and the Once teams come down here. In the past, they haven't taken much interest in the World Cup other than the ones that are very hilly.
Skeevy's gotten across now to Bauer, and the rider from the ZG.
There's a danger man, isn't there?
Yeah, he's going well at the moment also. He was driving this group on.
He's certainly driving this one along.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see who it is from the ZG Mobile team. It looks like Fontanelli.
He's been fairly active right the way through, actually. Yeah. Because I was sure we've talked about the crash out, so you can't see who they are when they've got it clamped on the head, but they're wearing these glasses. Let me go back to the crash.
Someone rubbed the wheel, I think.
Just a touch and down you go. Oh, completely looped the loop and took somebody with him straight into the ditch.
You see everybody watching and looking to see what's happening, but that's another dangerous part, because when you hear a bang, just look in front of you, because everyone tries stopping, and it becomes very dangerous, as Skibby's group has been caught now. We see the GB riders going, MGGB riders now going to the front once again, as we see Musio in 4th place there.
He's riding very crafty, isn't he, Museo? He's never been further back, 10th back from the front, letting his teammates pull back those brakes. Kimi is cool all the way through. So Holstock firing off yet another man. There's some fairly vicious attacks going on there.
Nobody's kind of playing attacking. They're actually racing with 9 kilometers to go now. So
it's about just over 5 miles, nearly 6 miles left for these riders, and they're coming back in again, so that's no more than about 7 or 8 minutes of racing left ahead of us. And this one is still the sort of race where the sprinters must now be licking their lips, and I'm going to say tighten their toe straps. They don't do that now. They've got their feet clamped into the clipless pedals. But again, it just depends what has happened on the way. Oh no!
Skibby has a puncture.
What a shame.
Yeah, he's changed the wheel with his teammates. He should have. At this stage in the race, Skibby should have waited. His chain is off. See his chain here in the front chain wheel. Chain is off. He's seen it. Yeah.
Oh, he's in such good form.
Yeah, he should have.
Yes, it's all panicking. He's got his gear. It's wrapped around his gears now.
Yeah, he's got it. Now he should have waited till his team car came up and
left his teammate back with him.
Yeah, because then he would have 2 men to get back up again. But now by panicking, now he has lost the contact of the group. He's lost one teammate, and he's lost a couple of 100 meters as well on the bunch. So it's making it very difficult for him now getting back up to the bunch. And you see the cars are flying past him, so it'll tell you how fast the others are going.
He got no chance of getting a draft from those cars.
If he had waited, for example, for his team car to come up again, he would have put his hand up. The team car would have come up to the back of the group. When everyone was there, he'd gotten off his bike, he'd changed the wheel with the team car, and gotten back on before the last team car had gone through. So he'd have gotten sucked along then by the team cars, and he would have had a teammate with him as well. So But it's something that happens when you panic in the end of a race like this. It's quite normal. It does happen. You think, well, I got to change the wheel straight away. So unfortunately for Skibby now, he's been out of the race now.
And of course, the other trouble is with all the teams they've got in this year that they draw lots of team. He won't even know that TVM team might have drawn the last lot, for instance. Is half the trouble.
That's it as well. But like on a flat wheel, you can still ride in the back of the bunch. It's not dangerous, and it's very flat here, so you can ride on a flat wheel. So you could have done that, but of course in the final it's very easy for us to stay here. But I have made the same mistake myself in a power sneeze that I lost by puncturing in the final. I changed the wheel with a teammate and ended up then chasing to get back on my own. So I hadn't got it to get back on my own. Whereas in the final of a race, you panic sometimes, and here Skibby has panicked, and even if he gets back onto the bunch again, he does not have enough time to get back to the front of the bunch.
Well, I said draw lots, and I probably ought to correct myself on that one because I didn't check the car numbers this morning. They probably actually start in the order of the World Cup series of the teams, presumably. I didn't actually check the numbers. I think if GBMG have got the team at the moment, because there is also not apart from the individual, but the team award as well, and I suspect probably they'll put the teams in the order as per the team classification on the World Cup. So I'll correct myself on that one. Apologise.
You are right. You are right.
But normally, if you did in the World Cup, they just draw lots on
exactly,
the single day race. Yeah.
And any Director Sportif is not present for the taking of it, the number that the half gets last card. So you have to be there.
Back with the riders and the problems, and you can see up on your right hand side of that bunch then is the white jersey with the stripe down it. That is the World Cup leader, Johan Mazzeo, and let me tell you that there are 50 points at stake at the end of this race. 35 for second, 25 for third, 20 for fourth, and 18 and so on down from then on. So the first three are really going to be the counters in a moment. It is really neck and neck. Johan Mazzeo has 125 points in the World Cup. In second spot, Buttalami, the Lamprey team, has 116 points. Chamil of the Lotto team has 115 points. He'd been World Cup leader right the way through until he started to get into things like the Championship of Zurich, and he missed out there, so now he's dropped back then into third spot. Here we go on this last climb of the day, and it's already hurting the legs. Somebody's dropping off here. They've got problems.
Yeah, it's splitting from the front. We see Fondrias having a go, I think, is it? Yeah, Fondrias. The very same thing as he did 2 years ago, or 3 years ago when he won it the last time. He tacked on this sail, and it's only 3 or 4 kilometres to go from the top down, straight down.
And he's going away now at the moment on this 10% climb. Fondrias beginning to stretch the field. He's been so good at this. I've seen him do it in the Championship of Zurich when he thumped it off the front as well. These are his typical tactics, this man who took the lead in the Kellogg's Pro Tour this year by winning the first stage in a sprint, and then when he went into the time trial stage, the Tour of Britain up near Manchester, near Bolton, he took that one in fine form and consolidated his lead. So Fondrias in form, but he's been pulled back now by Mazzeo, who's got up to him then. Mazzeo suddenly got up to Fondrias, and the field has begun to split. Mazzeo showing extremely good form for a man who's a sprinter to climb like that as well.
Yeah, he's having great form at the moment, but I'm backpedaling a little bit now for myself there, because Fondrias didn't actually win a few years ago. He was second, but he got away on the hill and was caught. But we all make mistakes, but Fondrias can come to the finish now with a small group. He's a very good chance of winning, but the fact that he's lacking of training because of missing out on Tour de France and Tour of Italy because of his back injury, he may be lacking a small little bit of kick to go in the end. But this hill is still very, very steep going up to the top now, so then it goes down and then to the finish. So it'll be interesting to see now if these boys can work together on the run into the finish.
Action replay then of last year when Fondrias took Mazzeo away with him. Gonchenko finished in third spot that time. Mazzeo's done just right the thing. He marked Fondrias. He knew he was a man to watch, and he's gone up to him then. So that is Mazzeo pulling away off the front. Looks like Moreau into second spot behind him.
No, it's Catavana team. It's not Moreau. He's not there actually.
No.
Ludwig seems to be there. It's a guy, someone from Telecom. It looks like Ludwig. There's somebody there from the Novamai. I don't see who it is at the moment. It's difficult. We haven't got a very still shot, so it's difficult to see who actually is there.
Mazzeo now has got to wonder what to do. Does he persist with this one? There's a nice little group at the front, or he's surely wait for somebody to come through.
Well, the problem isn't really Bartoloni, is it?
Yeah, from the Cafe team.
Yeah, so he's no real threat. He's a threat to Muccio if Muccio doesn't get any points here in the race, but I find it difficult to see Muccio not getting placed in the final sprint. But Bartoloni has been very, very good at the moment. He's a very, very good sprinter, so he could beat Muccio on the sprint. We see Ludwig, once again here, 1-2-1. That's the team leader, and Ludwig being the team leader, he isn't too keen on working too hard either with his team, with the rest of the riders. So he's keeping it under his belt now for the finish as well.
Ludwig Pass, green jersey winner in the Tour de France, won something like 36 stages in the Peace Race, that great amateur classic in East Europe. Still Museo on the front.
But what you might see here, though, is the fact that Musio and Bortoloni are watching each other for the final victory. We could have somebody else just clipping off the front. It could be somebody like Ludwig, because we have a final long straight of 2.5 kilometres straight into the finish, and somebody like Ludwig could take off and keep a gap of a short gap going, or even Fondriest, because Fondriest is not placed at all in the World Cup rankings, in the World Cup series, so we could have a go. As you see him going, I think. Is he going?
He tried to go again. He has gone.
He has gone, yeah. So this is just a great day for Fondriest, because he's so near the finish, and these boys here behind me are looking at each other now, because with Ludwig, with Musio and with Bartoloni here in the same group, each of them have a chance of winning, but nobody's sure of beating each other. So it's a great move now that Fondriest to go away.
That was Michelson then, the rider from Catavana, at the back of this little group. I think he's just a new pro at the moment, so with Fondriest going away off the front of this group, now he looks like being chased down by one of the Novamel Histor laser riders.
No, it's actually by Musio, actually. Actually being chased down by Musio. That's strange. That's strange. Musio must be on tremendous form today to be closing down gaps like that, because I'm sure he'd be thinking to himself, well, if I bring back Fondriest, Bartoloni might beat me in the sprint, so leave somebody else to do the work. But he's done the work himself. He's brought back Fondriest. He's riding with him now, so there must be a small gap now behind them.
Just 9 points separate then Museo from Bortolami, and the first man gets 50 points, second man gets 35 points, so that's a difference then of some 15 points between first and second, and this really is going to decide the World Cup. We don't know, because we've got the final race coming up at Lombardy. I think Museo wants to win this one and say, I don't have to ride in Lombardy, but if he gets screwed down into about 4th or 5th, and past him goes the second place man Bortolami, then things could happen, and the main field is coming up. That's going to cause all sorts of problems again. Perhaps though in Museo's case, he'd better let lower pace riders take the sprint.
It is, but now he should see somebody, the lesser sprinters now having a go, like the Morrow on these, but I don't see Morrow in there at all now. But this little road now goes for 2 kilometres now straight into the finish, so it's very difficult for anybody to get away. It's got a very, very big motor which can go very, very fast.
And the leaves then blowing away in the breeze, because we're getting to autumn now and the end of the season. Bike racing then, just one more big classic, the one we're going to finish up on Eurosport next Saturday, the Giro de Lombardy, and these riders here, the sprinter specialists, just want to get this one under their belts at the end of the 1994 series. The World Cup still up for grabs, and Museo, Bortolami and Chamil are first, second and third. We've not seen Chamil recently. He's come through in that main pack in the black and red colours of the Lotto team.
1 kilometre to go, Dave. Here we have the Pulte riders riding in front now for Abdul Japarov, so it's going to be a very, very interesting sprint to see how the group now is split up into about 60 riders now in the front.
And I see the yellow colours of Jalabert in there at the moment as well. This is Michel Bartoli and Mercaton Uno, who's trying to prize it well at the front. Bartoli also a fairly quick operator, but in the midst of this pack right now, we're looking down there at Pulte as Polly comes up then. He's going to come out and try and lead Cipollini through.
Cipollini's there with the white hat.
Yeah, and he's
on
still
Jalabert's wheel.
Jalabert's wheel. Still the lead out then. Coming looks like Aldeg on the front at the moment. Well, at the moment, the lead out has got to be good. 2 Telecom riders in there with a shout at the moment. In the last sort of 500 metres to go, spinning out on the far side. Ferrari goes across him as well. Is that young Zabel? It's certainly not Ludwig. And on the far side,
Cipollini in the middle
is coming out. Cipollini takes him all over the place. Jalabert there back in about 4th or 5th of the crash. As you expect, hits on the line, going to Telecom. Is that Zabel? I don't know what happened there, but if that was Zabel for Telecom, that was really going to be a turn up for the books, as 1 or 2 rather bury themselves in the tarmac, and that is a great disaster right at the end of the race. But that is what it's all about when you're sprinting in the last 500 metres. There are riders left, right and centre. Great disappointment to finish your total distance of some 251 kilometres upended on your backside.
Van der Poel, is it?
Yep, that's a nasty one. Van der Poel, previous victor in this race, has come down in that crash.
Here we see it again.
It is Zabel. It is Zabel. I thought it was. It's just being confirmed at the moment on the public address. Zabel, the man who won 4 stages in the Tour de l'Avenir, this new young sprinter, burst upon the block, and Zabel then has really caught a few people napping as he thunders across the line here. That's going to make him scratch a few heads. Zabel taking that one straight out the Tour de l'Avenir. This young rider for Telecom takes the victory, whilst the rest here are spread eagle, and let's hope there's no real damage has been done.
This is the problem now with the sprints now. It's they're becoming very, very dangerous. So we see a rider here from the Goldstrap team spread out, and we're getting attention now from the doctors. Oh, when I see this kind of thing, that makes me happy not to be riding anymore.
Oh, but you went, Stephen, with sprints like this, you usually kept out of trouble, didn't you?
Well, I always, at the end of my career, I could never even ride in the group. I was always riding a wheel or two wheel lengths off the back of the group and riding to one side because I just couldn't stay in the wheel. There was so much switching and so much pushing and shoving. At one stage, all sprinters kept their hands in the bars and kept a relatively straight line, whereas now the sprints just go anywhere at all. So I just couldn't sprint.
That's Jean-Jacques Henry of the Festina team that's just been upended.
We see Andrea Taffy has also come down in the group.
Well, Taffy's been doing quite well recently.
We see him taking off his shoes here. That's also a bit of practice. When you fall, just listen to the public address now. Yeah, there's Andrea Taffy was saying was going ahead there on after getting up, your feet to get a bit cramped, so you get up and you take off your shoes and you can bend your feet so there's less cramping then.
Cipollini on the left hand side here, that was in the yellow. There's Jalabert fading, and Zabel got it first from one of the Lamprey riders, but there we go. That's Cipollini on the right hand side in the yellow. He got probably third? Yes, must have been third, I suppose. Zabel first then. And the Lamprey rider in there at the moment.
We see the sprinters coming down again in the replay. We see the riders, the bikes bouncing off the ground. The riders here, you must remember, they're going about almost, I'd say, in a region of 68, 70 kilometers an hour. They're all riding at 53.12, so it makes it, when you hit the ground, it makes things very, very painful.
Well, this man, Zabel, winner of fourth stage in Tour l'Avenir. That was a tremendous surprise when he kept notching up the successes in the l'Avenir, and everybody kept saying, where's this fella coming from? Well, he was going like stink in the l'Avenir, and now he's added this great classic to his success ratio. That's
look how fresh he looked, Dave.
Haven't he?
Look, like he's a young rider, new professional.
Yeah.
He's ridden the Tour de l'Avenir. He's ridden 250 kilometres here today. Look how fresh he is.
Well, there we are then. That's the rest of the field drifting in now after that tremendous sprint finish. Bit of a nasty crash, but Zabel running out the victor. Zabel on the line just ahead of the Mapei class rider. And now, if the Mapei class rider I was more concerned with the crash and seeing the victor. If that's Bortolami, and I'm just trying to see now, then with getting 35 points, and certainly the leader on the World Cup Moselle wasn't in the shout at the end of that one, so we might see a change in the overall leadership as well. Yeah, we just saw Baron Hino there standing. We see him here. He comes back into our picture again, being one of the organisers of the helpers in the organisation of the Tour de France and all the events run by the Tour de France, with meaning one of them being the Paris Tour. Well, Zabel then, just 24 years of age, fourth in the Olympics in 1992, and here he is then being congratulated for his success then in this race. So he really has come upon the scene. Those 4 victories in the Tour de l'Avenir certainly good stead, and he certainly knew his way through then. So the Telecom team with Ludwig, who's going off to ride the 6 days during the winter, a couple of those 6s, have found a new sprint up, and this is the man, Eric Zabel. Zabel is saying that he's speaking to the French people. He's saying that he had a great condition coming out of the Tour de l'Avenir, and getting great preparation for the Paris Tours because of being so long. It helped an awful lot, so he's very happy to have won today. 162 going up there. I'm certain that was in second place for Bortolami, and that will give him then 35 points to add to the 116 he's got so far. So that's going to be 150 odd points. So it looks like Bortolami is going into the lead on the World Cup. It'll be very difficult for him for Muccio to come back now, because the Tour de Lombardy next week will suit more Bortolami than it will Muccio. So
I'm sure that Monsieur will expect him to do better than Bartolome today to assure himself of more of a lead for going into Tour de Lombard next week. But unfortunately, possibly because of the crash, he was obstructed maybe and lost placings.
There we are, that's Zabel on the front, Bartolome on the inside, the Lamprey ride at the far side. Don't think it's Jan Serrada actually, I'm just trying to look at him there, and they've got the class one. In fact, it's a big nose Spruck, I thought it was Serrada, and nowhere there, I was looking very quickly again, was Mazeo, so certainly that means that Bartolome in second spot will have taken over the lead in the World Cup, and that was a bit of bad luck then as far as Mazeo is concerned. He worked very hard right the way through, and now he's going to find himself out of the lead of the World Cup and going on to the Tour of Lombardy next week. He will find himself under a lot of pressure from Bartolome, but this young man, Eric Zabel, is certainly going to be somewhere to watch next year. I'm sure Telecom are going to be pleased about that. With the man on the rostrum there with the Lotto behind him, that's the lottery group in France that sponsored the race today. They're actually going to have a racing team the year after next with Marc Mario as a team manager. Well, after this programme we're going to switch across to the Formula 3000. We're going to show you some of that before we go on with the golf. So a slight change in our programme. Formula 3000 coming up next, then over to the golf. So from myself and my good friend here, Stephen Roche, this is David Duffield saying bye-bye to you all, and a very happy Eric Zabel leaves the rostrum.